What's up, everybody? We are live on location, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month at Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, and we are very proud to be here. Champions Corner, there's a three-part series tonight exclusively coming to you from Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and the Champions Series Part 1 will be with 2021 National Champion Head Coach of the Lemoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse team, Dan Sheehan. Then we'll have Nate Arnold in Part 2 and Frank Delia in Part 3. So, Dan, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks for having me. It's Pizza Man is a place that Jimmy Delia, the owner, played for me back in the beginning of the 20th century.
Yeah, you know, you had the opportunity. Jimmy tells me about that and the opportunity that he's had to get out there with you. What was it like having Jimmy Delia as a player?
Yeah, Jimmy, I think everybody back in 2000 was kind of throwback. But as a midfielder, Jimmy played both ends of the field. I'd put him in the grinder category.
Okay.
Definitely a grinder. Probably guys that scored more goals than he did. Probably guys that played better defense. But as far as the complete package for a midfielder, that was Jimmy.
So, knowing that you had Jimmy on the team, what's it like having his nephew, Frankie, now? Does it make you feel old now at this point?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of reasons why I feel old, but you know, having Frank around, and you know, it's kind of funny because throughout the entire recruiting process, and you know, Frank coming out of high school made a stop at OCC, so it wasn't just a couple of years recruiting him out of high school. It was high school and then OCC, but the entire time he worked here. So I kind of felt like I knew what was going on at the Pizza Man all the time.
Yeah, you know, and they actually told him that he should pick up a shift here tonight in between sets. That's why I made him the third set, so he could work for an hour or so.
That's right. I do expect to see him busting some tables and slinging some pies in the back.
And doing some work here. So, Dan Sheehan, Dan, you are no stranger to hardware and hoisting up trophies. To the people at home that don't know, people watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and people here at Pizza Man in Baldwinsville, and those that will watch this back on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on all that. How many championships is it now?
This was number 6.
6 championships. Does anyone feel different than the other? I would imagine winning one during a pandemic is a pretty unique championship.
You know, I've been asked this question a lot, and I think one of the things people need to understand that as a as a college coach and working with 18 to 22-year-olds, I do spend a great amount of my time trying to forget things that have happened. You know, so going back and trying to figure out, you know, what group was more special than another. It's really not that easy, and I would certainly never compare, you know, one team versus another. But you know, this is the only team that had an opportunity to compete and win during a pandemic.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, and this last year and a half, almost 2 years, has been so unique, so strange. So, I mean, we couldn't see people's smiles. You know, everybody looked like, I kind of took it as a compliment, but I look like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat when the way that I had my mask on. So, but, you know, we couldn't see faces. We weren't going outside. For a time, I was literally seeing my dog, going to my studio, going to the grocery store every 2 weeks. And, you know, seeing my parents, and I, you know, have Italian background, and, you know, you're when you see your Italian family, you're supposed to give them a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and I couldn't hug my parents, couldn't give them a kiss on the cheek, even when I saw them. So I was living in this very tiny universe of maybe 1 or 2 people and my dog. How did you spend the beginning of lockdown?
Yeah, well, it was, you know, it was certainly not an easy task, not when, you know, season ends abruptly, and you've got, you know, 40 plus guys on your roster that are still taking classes. They're just not showing up for practice every day. And I like to think that as a college coach, it's more than just X's and O's on the field. So, making sure guys are on track to graduate, doing everything they should, and still contributing to the Lemoyne community, even though we weren't really together. So it was a full-time job, and then all of a sudden I think it was May 12th, and my wife and I were sitting at the counter, and there were flurries in the backyard. On May 12th, and so we called her sister who lives down in Philly and said, "Hey, listen, it's an 8-hour drive to Virginia Beach. You wanna get a house for the weekend?" And that's kind of what we did.
And to make you feel better, the only time I've ever been to Virginia Beach, Virginia, it snowed on the beach.
Nice.
Wind blew, and there was snow on the palm trees, and you couldn't tell the snow from the sand. And I remember my dad looking outside going, "We came all the way here for this." So, but I mean, we're used to 6 months of snow in central New York. As a lacrosse coach, what can you say to that respect? Because lacrosse, when we look at upstate New York and the state of New York in general and the Northeast, this is the hotbed of the rising of the sport of lacrosse. And at the same time, the weather's not always kind. And I marvel at some pictures that we see of a game that you have or a practice, and there's snow piles in the corners. So, I mean, how do you see that as a coach, knowing that some of these teams that are playing in 70-degree weather while you're playing in the snow and making sure that you can clean the field off?
Yeah, it's not easy, but it is interesting. We probably have maybe between 6 and 8 guys from the state of Florida on our roster right now, and you ask them about playing anytime between May and September, and they would prefer not to. And so it's. I think the ideal temperature for a lacrosse game is probably about 55 degrees, which here in central New York, 55 is a little bit more common than 80 for sure.
Yeah. It's been very hot this summer, but I mean, what you got to do, bring me through the pandemic in the sense of when everything shut down, because yes, 2020 won a national championship, but 2020 was a difficult year for everybody. And I remember, NCAA tournament-wise, the men's and women's teams, I remember Gina Costelli getting ready to go on the road and then having the bus be called back. So, just what you went through in the beginning of all this when it was out of your control and it had nothing to do with wins or losses.
Yeah, so we were on spring break. We had games. We were in Syracuse at Lemoyne, and we had spring break. So we were on campus, and I think that a couple days before the Ivy League canceled their season. So I think once that came out, I think it caught everybody's attention, and that it was a strong possibility. And then all of a sudden the NCAA basketball tournament, and it just it was really difficult. We came back from Christmas break in the middle of January, and you spend those 2 months really kind of getting after it, getting ready for conference play, and to have the rug pulled out from underneath you, it was difficult. But at the same time, it wasn't like lacrosse was just taken away from us. I mean, school was shut down, and kids were sent home, and you were told you really can't go anywhere. So, I think sports has a place, and I don't know that it was not having lacrosse that was the most difficult thing going on.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, when everybody was home, the first thing we wanted to do was watch a game.
Yeah.
So speak about that juxtaposition of, like you said, sports wasn't the main thing to worry about. It was people's health, well-being. But the first thing that we want to do when we're shut in a house is to turn on the game. And for a time, there was nothing. And I think the first things that they started putting on, there was like bowling, and I think there was cornhole and some of that stuff. But, when we're all trapped at home, we were watching old games.
Yeah, I know that, you can pull up on YouTube, just Google college lacrosse, and, pretty much any NCAA tournament game for the last 4 or 5 years was on. So I know that was popular in the house. I think it was probably a good time to own Netflix stock too.
Did you watch anything?
Yes. My wife sucked me into a couple of shows. I think it's Outer Banks.
Okay, I've heard about that. That's with.
And-
Oh my goodness, Jason Bateman.
Yeah. No. We did watch that one too.
Okay, you did. Oh, that was Ozark.
Ozark. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did watch Ozark too. I'm a water boat kind of guy.
Okay.
So that and another one, Virgin River.
Okay.
My wife sucked me into all these things.
Well, women really like the Netflix show You, and I don't know why, because it's about a male serial killer that sucks women in, but only women told me to watch the show. My mom loves it. My aunt loves it. There's another season coming. All of these women love the show.
Never even heard of it.
It's on Netflix. If you want to creep yourself out at night, go ahead and watch it. I will tell you that the movie Fatherhood that just came out with Kevin Hart is actually very good, and not his typical comedy. So, do you like comedy?
Yeah, probably more old school comedy.
Okay. Who's your favorite comedian?
Probably Eddie Murphy.
Okay. All right. Eddie Murphy, not bad.
Yeah. When you're sitting on the bus, there's the library at Lemoyne has DVDs that the kids can take. And I think I've seen every movie in the Lemoyne Library at least.
Please tell me they had Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell, the soccer movie.
Yeah.
That's a good road movie to watch. Do you remember the ones that you usually pick when you're on the bus? Do you have like
I
a
don't,
go-to?
I don't pick them.
You don't pick it? The guys pick them?
Guys pick them. I think the guys make the freshmen go to the library.
Okay. So I can ask Nate and Frank what DVDs they take out of the Lemoyne Library?
No, see, I don't. I think we're in a unique situation now.
Okay.
The last couple of years, they've all started staring at their phone or their laptop.
Oh, okay. So no DVDs.
Yeah, well, I think it might be parents splurging for unlimited data.
Okay.
I think that's a recent thing.
Maybe they're watching game film
yeah.
to help you out.
I have the ability to track that, and I can tell you they're not.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. We have Nate Arnold and Frank Delia here. So I got to ask you, Dan Sheehan, the head coach of Lemoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse, 2021 national champion, 6th national championship. Myself, Dan Satora, here at Pizza Man Pub every single month with our on-site broadcast. This month is Champions Corner, celebrating the national champion Lemoyne College Dolphins, which is something we get to say over and over again, which I love. I got to ask you about these two guys, and they got close enough to hear your answer. I want you to tell me, when I say Nate Arnold, the first thing that comes to mind, first few things, and then Frank Delia, the first things that come to mind. So I love to know, and they're going to do the same thing for you, so just know that that's coming.
Yeah. So which one are you giving me first?
I'm going to give you Nate first.
Nate.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I think Nate would be great in Boeheim's zone.
Okay.
He's like 6'4". He's got like a 6'7" wingspan. You put a 6-foot stick in his hand, and he can touch one sideline and the other at the same time.
Okay. We need the help. We need the help.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So length is good on defense. That's for sure.
Okay.
No, Nate had a great year for us. His ability to communicate with the defense. Kind of a quarterback role as a defender. Gets the ball off the ground really well. I think he actually scored a goal this year. Did you score this year? Twice? I must not have had timeouts.
Scored twice, okay. So you had 2 goals this year, that's good.
Yeah, he had a big one, I think. Yeah, big one down the stretch, or a big one against the Delphi. Yeah. That was tied up? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy you learned something today about Nate.
Yeah, well, again, I told you, I do spend a lot of time trying to forget all the stuff these guys do and don't do. So.
What about Frank Delia?
Frank.
Besides the fact that he knows how to spin a pie here at Pizza Man. So.
He's probably he's way more optimistic than I am.
Okay.
He's the first one in a situation where somebody in front of him maybe doesn't do their job. He's the first one to say, hey, don't worry about it, we'll get the next one. Where sometimes I have a tough time moving on and want to figure out what happened, why it happened, and how it's not going to happen again, ever.
Yeah.
And you just hear Frank saying, "It's all right, let's go. It's all right. We're good. We're good. We're good." So,
Is there a favorite Frank Delia play from this season?
boy, I don't. You know, it's kind of like when parents introduce me or reintroduce themselves at summer camp and say, you know, my son went to your summer camp, and I have to ask what his name is again. Typically, when I don't know a young man through summer camp, it means he wasn't a pain in my butt the entire week. So,
okay.
I don't know that that's a bad thing that he didn't have a moment that sticks with me. I know he had a pretty good second half in the national championship game.
Yeah, and I know you said you try to forget a lot of stuff, but I'm hoping that you didn't forget what happened just a few weeks back here, and that being the 2021 national championship. What are the snapshots in your brain right now?
Yeah, you know, I thought we were ready to play. I think I was probably most impressed with the entire team. The weather. I'm not sure anyone knew it was raining. You know, it wasn't an ideal weekend. But I think playing on grass, it would have been real easy for, you know, everybody involved to kind of whine and complain about the weather. And I didn't. The only person I heard complain was actually my wife. She was freezing and wet the entire time, so I heard that a lot. But I don't know that the guys were affected by the weather at all. So that was probably the first place. Second, you know, I thought we didn't play very well, and we were tied at halftime. And then coming out in the second half, you know, I think we had an opportunity to land a couple knockout punches early, and we did just that, and kind of took off from there. I felt like we were in total control of the game in the second half.
Coming back in the second half and doing what needed to be done, what was the conversation? There's always that wonder of, was there a word, was there a moment, was there something that was a turning point that really stuck out to you, that taking that break at halftime when you were tied really sent you into a different world in the second half?
You know, I think we won a couple of face-offs and then lost a couple of face-offs the right way, not giving up transition. I think Frank made a couple of big saves, which gave him confidence. I thought we finished on offense. I think we finished some scoring opportunities that had pretty high difficulty level. I think we finished those, and you know, just kept looking up at the scoreboard, and a 1-goal lead went to 3, and a 3-goal lead went to 4, like really, really quickly. So yeah, you know, people have asked about halftime speeches. Not really halftime speech kind of guy. We don't even go in the locker room usually at halftime. So to be forced into doing that was a little bit different. You know, but I think we tell our guys that, you know, we're in August and September when we start practice, we're going to coach you like it's May, because May matters. And so I don't think the moment was too big for anybody in our locker room at any point in time.
What was the bubble like? How did you kind of put your own bubble together, and how did you make sure that bubble stayed as tight as it could? Because different places used it differently. Bring me into life inside the bubble. Yeah,
so, you know, for me, the bubble was my car, my office, and my house. You know, lucky being an outside sport. So we were outside, you know, quite a bit, and for the most part, I think, you know, when you're at practice, it's pretty easy to be smart. You know, I think what I'm most proud of is the fact that our guys survived, you know, a semester in college that is unlike anything like college is supposed to be. You know, so you know, I think for a 48-year-old guy and, you know, father and husband of 3 kids, like, you know, my world was different. But to be an 18 to 22-year-old young man or any, you know, college student, and to make the sacrifices that they did. I think that's where all the credit lies in our bubble is really what they wanted it to be.
And I mean, really, they couldn't do it. They couldn't have the normal college experience. It was kind of be around your team, go back to your room. From what I could understand, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice for a student athlete in college of really any division, from D1, D2, D3, all the way to JUCO, that if you wanted to play, you had to essentially see your teammates, see your coach, and that was it.
Yeah, we didn't stay in a hotel. We didn't have a locker room until the NCAA tournament. Those were the first times all year that we had somewhat of normalcy. I didn't have one. Actually, we did have some complaints. One of the dorms, we had 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 guys that lived on one floor in one of the dorms, and not having a locker room, their equipment went back and forth with them to their room. And there were some complaints that went through the dorm staff that the equipment on the 4th floor was a little too ripe, and we needed to do something about it. So I think at that point in time there was an exception made that bags could stay in the locker room, just no people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think there's a certain smell that you just don't want the building to have. But here with Dan Sheehan, the head coach and 6-time national champion, 2021 national champion for Lemoyne College Dolphins men's lacrosse, myself, Dan Tortora of Wake Up Call. We're live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. And, of course, we're on site on location at Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. Before we get to these two gentlemen, Nate's going to be up next, and then Frank after that from Pizza Man in this special Champions Corner. Dan, the question I think that you must get a lot is 6 championships here. You have proven nationally that there is so much relevancy to Lemoyne. It's not local, it's not regional. It is a national thing that when it comes to Lemoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse, there is a tremendous amount of respect and there's a spotlight. Why keep doing it here? Why keep coming back to Lemoyne? I think that's the question that people ask in the background. They ask me, what's Dan doing here, continuing to go? So what keeps you coming back?
Yeah, so I think it's number one, it's my family. Both my wife and my families are both Syracusean natives here. It's also Lemoyne College is a fantastic place to work. And then probably the biggest reason is there's not too many teams that have a chance to actually win a national championship, and once you get a taste, I'm not sure, regardless of level, that I could go to work at an institution that set their goals at winning a conference tournament, that an 8-7 season would be considered a success. I think the world of Division II men's lacrosse is almost you have to win every single game, and being in that environment for the past 24 years, I think I'm definitely addicted to competing at a high level, and winning more games than not. Plus I think there's something to be said for the kids that we're able to recruit to Lemoyne. I mentioned Jimmy Delia being kind of that old school guy. Yeah. I think we got an awful lot of just tough kids, grinders. We can get after them, they get after it. And it's if I'm a salesman and I'm selling, Lemoyne lacrosse and Lemoyne College, the education that you get at Lemoyne and the opportunities that are in front of you when you walk out the door, it's a pretty good package.
Besides Lemoyne, who are those teams in NCAA Division II that you really think are the most reputable programs?
In Division II?
Yeah.
I'd say Adelphi University. I think as a program, I think they've won maybe 7 national championships. Over the past maybe decade, Mercyhurst has been a formidable foe. The game is growing so fast down south. that's the majority of the growth of the game at the Division two level. Limestone University is a team that we've played quite a bit.
Coming from Dan Sheehan, we're going to jump into something called rapid fire before these two guys come up here. Dan and I are going to get to ask each other 3 questions. They could have to do with sports, life, literally anything. He has to answer it in front of the people at Pizza Man and here on Facebook Live, and I have to answer them as well. I'm going to defer to you first.
Well, 1 question or all 3?
We're going to do 1 and 1, so okay. We'll go back and forth.
All right, because I do enjoy my time by the water. So, okay. Speedboat or sailboat?
Speedboat or sailboat? I'd have to say speedboat because the only boat I've ever taken out is a speedboat. I'd have to say that. Okay, so you like your time out by the water. Do you fish?
Occasionally.
Okay. What's the best fishing experience you've ever had?
Boy, this summer I think when I was either 11 or 12, I worked on a charter boat, salmon charter boat out of Sandy Pond. So saw some large fish come out of that lake.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
All right. So if you're sitting at the beach, are you a read the book kind of guy, or are you like I got to do something?
I got to do something. I have to walk on the beach. I like walking in the moonlight, so I like walking at night. Love walking on the beach. Got to go in the water. Got to put myself out there. I'm one with nature, one with the earth, one with the world. So I'm definitely up and at 'em. I can read a book anywhere. So, favorite place for you to travel?
Key West.
Okay.
Key West. Why? My wife and I, for the past, probably maybe going on 10 years, have taken a trip down there before the season gets underway in the middle of January, and it's you can't go any further south without a passport. So that's where we've ended up.
All right, Key West. I've been to all over Florida, but I have not been to Key West yet.
I think the best part is the trip out.
Okay.
Driving out through the Keys. Very, very cool.
All right. What's your last one?
Last question. Somebody once told me this. Be prepared for it on an interview question, but why do you think vending machines have both letters and numbers in them? Why not just 22 or?
Why do I think vending machines have letters and numbers? Well, it would make sense to have the first row be A1, A2, A3, A4, and then do it that way. So maybe that's how it used to be. I don't know. What I do know is when the vending machine, when you feel like it's not gonna get around and give you what you want,
anxiety,
and you get nervous, and then you shake it, you hit it, and there's never anybody that can help you do anything. So I probably have to say that.
That's good.
My last one for you is, let's stay with it. Favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Probably my mother-in-law's chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
I don't get them as much as I think I should.
All right. But can we shout her out? What's her name?
Yeah, Sherry Dolan.
Sherry, make more cookies. Chocolate chip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Sherry, make 2 batches because now I want them too. Because Dan doesn't get enough, and my name is Dan too. So if you mix it up, that's okay. You can give me some.
That's good.
My final note to you. Yeah. Because I got to be around him very recently here. Your new director of athletics, Bob Beretta.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Bob?
Yeah, kind of stepping in at a difficult time coming out of this pandemic. I think I speak for all the coaches and admin. We're super excited. He brings a ton of energy every day. He's got some unbelievably fresh ideas on what the department should look like. For me, he came in and we won him a national championship pretty quickly, so I'm hoping that's a good thing. But then all of a sudden recruiting happened, and I feel like I've been on the road for the last 45 days straight, so I haven't had a ton of time. But certainly, very excited.
That coming from Dan Sheehan, myself, Dan Tortora, here at Pizza Man Pub, and Gina Castelli says hi as well.
Yeah, awesome.
So, shout out to you, Gina. And it's Sherry, right?
Yes.
Make the cookies, Sherry. Get on it. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Champions Corner, celebrating the 2021 Lemoyne College Dolphins men's lacrosse national champions. We will be back in just a couple minutes here on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. Nate Arnold will be sitting here. He will look taller. I will look shorter. The reality is we're actually the same height. It's just a television thing. We'll be back in just a little bit.